So I will chat at you for a moment while everybody gets settled. I think I have everybody muted now. So this is a little bit crazy. This is our last summer yoga class, and that's pretty remarkable. So after tonight, you guys are free for a few weeks. You can do whatever you want. If you're bored, you can always message me and we can still hang out online because it's not like I'm doing anything. But I do like to take those breaks just because then when we come back together again, usually you like me more after a little bit of a break. Plus, it's the end of summer. It's a busy time of a year, and everybody can kind of just take a moment to breathe and relax. I will leave classes posted online, and I'll try and do a couple of extra little things to put online for you. So that will be available. And then I will, hi Karen, I will message everybody in the next couple of weeks when I have a start date in mind for September. I'm just trying to kind of figure out my meeting schedule, and it is very likely that I will be back in Ontario. So I will, but we will be continuing online at this time. I will not be doing live in-person classes. So hopefully very soon, but not yet. I'm just not comfortable enough about being around groups of people just yet. I hope you understand. Not that I don't love you, but we're going to be safe. That's my attitude right now. So before I forget, I want to thank each of you so much for being part of this very, very cool summer, I will say, because in the face of adversity, everybody allowed for some personal growth and for doing things in a different way. And I am not normally a glass half full or totally full kind of person, but this summer has provided so many opportunities, and you each were those amazing opportunities. So thank you, because you all did very good deeds, and I appreciate each one of you, and I appreciate you for being part of this. So to say thank you, we're going to continue with low back, because low back is an issue for so many people. And we went through some of this on Monday, and I want you to keep in mind this really important notion of, if your low back is feeling uncomfortable, it's probably, I mean, if it's really, really rough pain, then that's an injury and you need to get that looked at. And I always recommend going to see a physio because that's who fixes me when I have discomfort. But if you have low back discomfort, kind of stuff on an ongoing basis, you want to be aware that probably you've got some muscles and connective tissues that are tight. To check your hamstrings. Maybe they need a little bit of stretching. The low back itself benefits from stretching. We do a lot of that in child's pose, and we can do an inversion of that when we do knees to tummy pose. We also need to think about important things like, what muscle groups are we using? And are we using the correct muscles? So what muscles are weak? Mainly core and glutes. And if your core and glutes are a little bit weaker, your QL is going to do a lot of work that it doesn't need to do. And your iliopsoas is going to do a lot of work that it doesn't need to do. So it's all of that kind of notion of stretch, strength, strengthen, and balance. And so we're going to do some more pieces of that tonight. I'm in a little bit of a heat wave here, so get ready for some sweaty action from my end. And for the rest of you, I hope that you are comfortable. And again, if anything feels really painful, please don't do it. So we are going to start tonight in the child's pose. Yay! Everybody's favorite. But let's just start. And I remind you always, if you need some props, if you need a couple of cushions to make the child's pose more comfortable, then go for it. You're welcome, Cheryl. I just love hanging with you guys. I didn't want to be done yet. So as you come into the child's pose, think about kind of easing into it. Maybe add a little bit of motion, match it with a really nice deep breath, And you want to be sinking slowly deeper, deeper, deeper into the ground. So as you're resting here, I'm going to encourage you to just move back and forth a little bit and move the knees out as far to the sides as you can. And then sink back down. And then tighten through your core, start to pull back through one arm and then the other. And we're gonna lift up and bring those knees right under the hips. Hands are going to come under the shoulders. And just take a moment, drop the head, stretch up the neck. Still breathing so deeply. And then bring the head up, keep that core nice and tight. We're gonna move through a little bit of cat-cow. So inhale, head and tail lift. And you're gonna start to feel this stretch right away through the QL. And then exhale, arching. Chin right into chest. Inhale up. And exhale. Breathing up. And out. Inhale. And exhale. And let's hold it here. Tuck the hips right under. And then a nice flat back. Good. So from here, a little bit of a side-to-side motion. So bring the hips and the shoulders together on one side and then move to the other. And again, this is just kind of checking in, seeing what's happening in that low back. Good. And then from here, we're going to repeat what we did on Monday with a little bit of that lunge and moving back into that hamstring stretch, because it's such a great way to start to release through the hip flexors. So on your hands and knees, bring the left foot forward first. Throw that knee into your armpit. Nice and tight through your core. And I can see myself in the monitor and I realized my foot was over to the side. That's not good form. So I'm just going to correct it here. What I want to do is actually extend that leg back. So I'm tucking my toes under, and then all I'm going to do is basically extend the leg. You can hear that nice toes scraping, sliding on the floor. And that way your hips aren't way in the air. And then I'm going to try and lift up a bit here. Good, so just breathing really deeply, press into that back heel, core is tight and engaged. Maybe try and pinch your bum cheeks together so you get that glute engagement as well. All of that and breathe. Good, and then we're gonna drop that knee down. By drop, I mean gently lower. Uncurl your toes and then walk back. So you can take a moment here, and there's no wrong way to do this. I just want you to get into the habit of noticing what's happening. So I'm feeling some tightness going right up into my hips. So my IT band is a little bit tight. So I'm gonna play around with this a little bit. I'm gonna externally rotate, just moving with the breath. Do whatever feels good, and then we're gonna walk it back forward. Okay, so that back knee now is, or the back leg is slid further back. We are gonna move into gecko for a moment. So you should be feeling that stretch through the hip flexor on that front leg side. And I'm gonna walk my foot out. If you are on your mat, just keep a heel on the mat and toes come out to the sides. A little bit of a bend in your elbows for comfort. And I'm almost externally rotating here. So there's a lot of activity happening in that thigh. There's a lot of talk back now. And you can stay here with that knee down, or you could pop up. If you pop up, that gives you the ability to kind of weight bear and get deeper into the joints. And then we drop down, move back. And just join me for a moment. Coming back, I have my toes flipped under. I'm just gonna lace my fingers, arch the back here. Coming all the way up, and just a little side body. And up, and side body. And up, great. Other leg comes forward, knee into the armpit. And again, now I'm looking to see if I'm being lazy on. And this is actually a posture. We're just not doing that one right now. Cool. Okay, so core is tight and everything's active and ready to go. My toes are flipped under and I'm going to lengthen and slide back. Good. Nice deep breaths. And as you're holding this, pay attention to what's kind of happening here in that kind of bathing suit area, through the groin. Love saying groin. And then we're gonna lower that knee, uncurl your toes, walking it back here, getting into the hamstring. So on this side, my IT band is not an issue. I'm just feeling like my hamstring wants some love. So again, choose what you need. Good, and then we're gonna come back up forward and we're gonna move into our gecko. So basically just walking that foot up to the side, toes come out on an angle. I'm gonna bring, I felt like having my hands here. I'm gonna bring them apart. Clunk, 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 little shift in posture. Check that your core is tight, and if you can clench those bum cheeks, that would be a great practice tonight. And again, if you want to lift up, you can do that, and that gives you an opportunity to kind of move around a little bit more. And then we release. So we're gonna drop back down, arch the back, lifting up, side body, and up, side body, and up, and a nice roll down. To me, those side body stretches are some of the nicest stretches ever. I just really enjoy them, so I hope other people do as well. So from here, we're going to come into a beautiful strengthening posture, and it provides strengthening for the core, but also for the glutes. So it is the tiger, and sometimes when I teach tiger, we turn it into a balance kind of game, reaching back and touching the foot. We're not going to do that tonight. We're just going to hold it And in that very kind of still posture, you're going to feel those muscle groups working and engaging. So we're going to come back to the hands and knees. And right away, core is super tight, ready to go. This is also a nice alternative if you don't like the plank, which who does? Let's be serious. All right, so in order to do the tiger, it's all about the opposites. So I'm going to bring my left arm forward, and when you extend that arm, you want to feel your core engage. And then I'm going to extend my right leg back, and you can either point the toe or flex the foot, your call. Again, so core is tight, but I want you to actually pinch those bum cheeks, use them. Breathe a lot. So we've stretched so far, now we're into the strengthening. Hand comes down, knee comes down. Let's switch to the other side. Arm. And again, as the arm comes out, get in the practice of engaging and tightening through your core. And the left leg comes back. Pinch those bum cheeks together. Get that butt working. Hand comes down and knee. We release this into the child's pose, sinking down. Back up to the hands and knees. Knees under the hips, hands are under the shoulders. We're going to do this one more time. Again, when you're going back to this, you know, in a day doing the recording, you can hang out here and do this like 100 times longer. This is just your kind of reminder that this is great posture to practice. So I'm going to start with left arm, right leg. So again, core is tight, glutes are engaged, and pushing back through that foot. Hand comes down, knee comes down, switching to the other side. Arm and opposite leg. Hand and knee sinking into the child's pose again. And when you come down to child's pose, you should feel that stretch again, just above the butt. Good. And then we come back up to the hands and knees. Okay, we're going to do something a little bit tougher. This is a side kick. It's not really a kick, it's just a lift. Bring your knees a little bit closer together. And core is tight once again. With the leg bent, you are going to take a breath in. And as you exhale, lift up to the side. So inhale down, same side, exhale up. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, one more here, exhale. And down, good. So try and keep the core tight when you do that. We're gonna go to the other side. Inhale, exhale, lift. Inhale, exhale, lift. Inhale, exhale, lift. Inhale, last time, and exhale, lift. Push it up maybe a little bit higher, and coming down, flip your toes. Let's come back, and again, stretching forward, arching the back, Coming all the way up. Side body. And center. Side body. And center. And then a beautiful release down. So we're going to come up to standing. And we don't need to do anything fancy here. We're just going to push back onto our feet. Pushing up. Drop your head. So I've got my toe knuckles together, toes are spread wide. Really feeling the hamstrings here. Let's move up to a flat back. So just lifting up to halfway, shoulders come back, toes are spread. And then exhale, sink down. And then sweeping all the way up. Bring your hands to the heart, drop the hands down, come into your very best mountain pose while I shift some stuff around, including adjusting a camera. So much better when you can see my head again. Okay, so here we are in mountain. Straighten the legs as much as you can. Shoulders are back. Think about the glutes right now. We're really kind of focusing on that. So you want to kind of pinch your bum cheeks together, lift them up a little bit. Good. And then let's do a little bit more motion here. Inhale, sweeping up, lengthening. And as you lengthen, you're pulling up through the torso. Your hips are going to feel like they're pulling down. So you get that lengthening through the spine. So you're up here. Exhale, swan dive forward. Touch the floor, drop your head. Up to a flat back. And exhale down. Root to rise, grab that energy, pull it up. Throw it over top of your head. Big sweep down, hands to the heart. Inhale. Exhale, swan dive. Touch the floor. Up to a flat back. And exhale down. Root to rise. Grab the energy, throw it up into the air, sweep it around. Hands to the heart. Good stuff. So we're going to go through a little bit of a flow now. Most of you have done that, if not all of you, where we're going to be coming into the chair pose. And again, the chair is a great way to get the core working, your quads working, the glutes working. And so this is all kind of that strengthening, plus we're heating up this entire area. I know I'm heating up, that's for sure. So again, think about lengthening through the spine, and we go again. So we're going to come up, inhale. Exhale, hands come to your hips and open up the chest as you breathe in. Leaning back. Exhale, forward. So we're going to come to a flat back. Take a couple of breaths. Bend your knees just a bit here. And then start to sweep your arms up. So we're coming into the chair. And your arms should kind of be lined up with your ears. Check that your core is engaged. Glutes are tight. Every muscle in the legs is working. 2 breaths. Good, all the way up. Swan dive. Root to rise. And exhale to the hips. We go again. Inhale, open up the chest. Exhale, flat back. Inhale, chair pose. And coming all the way up, pushing into the feet, swan dive. Touch the floor, drop your head, sweeping up. We're gonna do that once more. Exhale, push your hands down to the hips and inhale up in the chest. Really lengthen. So I'm pushing into a back bend here. And then exhale, tight core to a flat back. Sweep to your chair. Lots of deep breaths. Inhale up slowly. Exhale, swan dive. Sweeping up. And exhale to heart center. Good. Please grab a chair. I luckily happen to have one right here that's perfect for use. I'm going to grab a sip of water too. Ooh, so much lip sweat. Okay, so again, doing that flow with the chair pose is a really great way to strengthen some of these areas. And these are all ways to kind of get some strength work in without doing maybe a traditional plank, or, you know, if you don't want to do a whole bunch of squats for the glutes, the chair pose is nice too. So after doing something like that, we want to release a little bit of the tension that we've created. And again, if you've got some low back discomfort, great stretches are always going to include just a traditional hamstring stretch. So we're going to do this in a beautiful yogic way. So just please start by, let's support on the leg closest to the chair. Shoulders are back, hips are tucked under. And just start by bending that knee so you're just becoming a flamingo. If this is a difficult posture for you, you could use a strap or the tie of your bathrobe. The shoulders come back. I'm just going to find my foot. And we're using the chair for balance because I want you to be focused more on how this is feeling as opposed to trying to be a beautiful ballerina. So what you do need to focus on is what's happening in your core. So tighten it up. Tuck your hips under a tiny bit. You want to see if you can line up your kneecaps. Good. And then I want you to pull that bent leg back just a tiny bit, so tiniest bit. And so I'll show you this way what I mean. This would be a better way to demonstrate what I'm doing. And if you want to switch to stand behind your chair, you could do that, but you don't have to. So I've got my bent leg and I'm starting with my knees nicely lined up. And you'll notice my shoulder is rolled back and I'm actually creating quite a nice back bend when I do this. So I tuck my hips under, and in order to do that, my glutes are tight and engaged. And then I'm going to slightly move that leg back. So you see from connection to just moving behind a bit. And I'm going to lift up through the chest. So deep breaths here, and then I want you to add one more piece. I want you to feel like your tailbone is heavy and dropping and lengthening. And think of the space that you're creating in that low back. And then releasing. Good. So after releasing from that, join me in just a little bit of a figure eight for the hips. So roll one hip and then the other. And just move back and forth. And this is just a nice way to ensure that kind of stuff gets moved out of the joint and that any tension is released. Good. So let's go to the other side. And I'm going to do it again this way just because this is how my chair is now. So I'm going to weight bear on the other leg, bending. Remember, again, I will make this one go. I should have a chair on wheels, although that wouldn't go well. So remember to bring your shoulder back, as opposed to if you do this, you're going to run out of range of motion. This allows you to move back further. So I'm here, I've got my foot. Lining up the knees. So all of those little steps, lengthening in the torso. Tuck the hips under and slightly pulling back through that leg. And then I want that tailbone to feel heavy and drop, and your gaze is forward. And you're breathing deeply. And keep breathing. Good. And slowly releasing down. Beautiful. Then go back to that figure eight. So just a little roll and a roll. I think it was, I can't remember if it was Monday or if it was last Wednesday, but I was saying, you know, every time we come into one of these postures, there's all of these little steps. Tighten this, engage this, lengthen this, drop this, pull this, breathe. And it's the same thing as putting on a pair of pants, right? We don't think about it at this point in our lives as being 14 little steps. But if you think about it, it is all these little steps. But when you get so comfortable with it, it becomes one fluid movement. That's what over time, this posture will get to be for you. It's just that natural sense of how you line stuff up. So if I seem to be giving you a gazillion instructions, it's because when I'm not here with you, you'll hear all those steps in your head and then you'll naturally just start to do them. Good. So that's a nice way to, again, stretch out some of what's happening here. Let's add to that with another deep stretch using the chair. You guys know I love using chairs so much. And this is wonderful. You can do it with the chair, and as that's working different parts of the back and providing relief, then you can move up to a table, or if you have like a kitchen island or something that's higher, just keep playing around with the height. So today I'm going to start with my feet hip width apart. Usually I take a wide stance, but it's going to be a little bit different, a little bit more targeted tonight. And I want to know that I can get my hands to the chair and slide in, which I can here, but I'm going to step back a tiny bit more. So kind of if you put your hands up, it should look like they're kind of, the fingertips are kind of over top of the end of the seat of the chair, if you can tell from how you're positioned. We want to add length before we stretch, so inhale up, big breath in. And exhale, lead with your chest, slowly swan dive towards the chair. Everything is pulling back into the body. Hands come forward, and then sliding in. And as you breathe, add a little fluidity to this. You can kind of, you know, undulate with the breath. I'm going to be using all my big words tonight. And then pay attention to where you're feeling this. Maybe you want to bend one knee. Partner that with a deep breath. And then straighten that leg and maybe bend the other knee. And then both legs are straight. And what we're going for is ears between the arms. Bend your knees, pull the arms back, and then we're going to roll up. All the way back, open up through the chest, and bring the hands to the heart. So again, think about it. We've created that length. We're releasing that tension. Let's go back to the hips. We had that really nice range of motion with the figure eight. So let's add to that. Nice and tight through your core. Bring a leg up. I'm doing this without a chair, but you can hold a chair if you like. And then just moving back and forth. Again, keep the core tight, please. Beautiful sensation of cleaning up the hip. And then bring your foot down. You got to stop going back and forth to bring your foot down. And other side. So lifting up and just back and forth. and down. Good. And just a little roll and a roll and a roll and a roll. Excellent. Okay. So we're going to do a few more hip things. So again, we're getting into the hips because when we can release the tightness in the hips, the tightness in the back has no reason to exist anymore. It's like when your hips are all tight, I'm pulling you in, just your back's in the wrong position. So we're going to do one of these great eccentrics moves, and many of you are familiar with this. It's a weirdo one, but it feels so good. So you're going to bring the supporting leg out on an angle, and then we're up here with that nice bent leg. Chest is proud, core is tight and lifted. Don't worry about the glutes. As you bend your leg, the supporting leg, your knee is going to come out more to the side. And then you straighten, and that knee comes up and over, and you pop your hip. And then you're going to come back down. So we're down. So think about, you're really opening the pelvis here, but also what's happening in this beautiful synovial joint, that ball and socket of the hip is moving back and forth and kind of cleaning all the crap out of the joint. So we come up and down. And up and down. And as you know with me, usually this is a stretch that we're doing towards the end of a practice when the body is warm. And up and down. And we'll do one more. Up and down. Good. So just releasing, again, kind of back and forth with balance. Seeing how the hips are, and then we're going to move to the other side. Please and thank you. So we come down, and then up, and over, and we're pushing up, and down. Definitely make sure the core stays tight. That's your stability. And down, and up, and down. And we're also working those little muscles in the hip and the gluteus medius for this range of motion. Good. A couple more here. Or maybe 3 more. We'll see. I really enjoy this. That's why we do it so much. And we'll do one more. Bring the shoulders back. Just really make sure lots of control, and then up and over. And then back. Good. Beautiful. So now you are going to need a cushion, or you can roll your mat over. I'm going to grab a cushion though and a sip of water. Again, we're doing a lot of stretches that are my favorite go-to kind of things that I do. So I like to be on the cushion with the knees for these stretches. So we're going to do 2 stretches to get deep into the hips, or I guess I shouldn't say that. One is going to get into the hips, into the TFL, the tensor fascia lata. And the other one is going to get into your piriformis. And so we slightly do them differently, but they're both really, really important. So let's start with, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to have my left knee stay on the cushion, and my right foot is going to come forward. I like to have the chair for stability. I don't do this without holding on to something, because again, we're not trying for the balance. We're really just trying to get into the muscle groups, so stability matters. I have one leg under one hip and the other leg under the other hip. So if it's hard to tell, my foot is not in front of the knee. Everything's kind of hip width apart. I'm going to bring my foot out a little bit further. So if you've got a 90-degree angle, bring that front foot out a little bit more. Good. Lift up through the core. So you want to kind of feel that lift through the pelvic floor. Tuck your hips under. And as soon as I tuck the hips under here, I'm starting to feel it into that left side, that activation, and that's good. That's actually the TFL activating, although this is a pure form of stretch. And what we want to do is lean in and back. And lean in, keep that core tight, and back. Let's do 2 more of these. So forward and back, and forward and back. Good, and then since we're on this side, let's continue with the TFL stretch. To do that, walk that foot over so it's in front of the knee. And it's hard, I'm kind of on an angle to the camera, but I assure you my heel is right in front of the knee. And that's really important because that keeps the, it keeps the hip from rotating now. Shoulders are back and down, chest is lifted, core is tight. And we go again. So lean forward. We're gonna hold though. Let's hold for 1, 2, 3. Tuck the hips under here. 4, 5, and release. Good, let's do that 2 more times. So lean in, lifting up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back. Good. And last time, ease your way forward. Tuck the hips under. That'll give a little bit more of a stretch here. And breathe for 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. So releasing, and you don't have to do anything more than swap a knee. So starting with that first stretch, our knees are, or our legs are hip width apart. We're not crossed over here. And I'm going to move my foot just slightly forward from the knee. And with this, we're going to do it on the breath. So we're breathing in and out. And in and out. Wow, I'm hearing some muscle cars in the neighborhood tonight. Sounds like Cove Hill. We'll do 1 more of these. So just easing in. Good. That's always a stretch that I enjoy. I feel a little bit of a stretch, but it's not uncomfortable. And so now we're going to walk that knee in front, or the foot in front of the knee. And this is the one that's a little bit more intense. So we're going to lift up, lean in, tuck those hips under. Make sure your shoulders aren't sticking up into your ears, and breathe so deeply. We'll go 3, 4, and 5. Good, and then just ease back. And then we come forward again, core is tight, hips tucked under, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ease back. And last time forward. Hips tuck under, lifting up and back, drop the tail. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And releasing. Beautiful. Good. So we can move the chair away. Keep it handy though, because if you want, we'll use it for the Shavasana to stick our legs up on. But I want to invite you to join me in the dreaded cow face pose, because again, it's a wonderful way to get the hips to release. And if we can get our hips to release, so much of that tension goes away. And we would try to get closer to the camera. I'm explaining that, but you can probably tell that's exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so here we go. And I don't actually need to be sitting on a cushion. Look at me getting comfortable already. Okay, bouncing the legs. So we're going to go into this fairly rapidly. Again, if this is too tight for you, too uncomfortable, if your breath becomes shallow, if you're gritting and grinding your teeth, then just back out of it. It's not necessary. Core is tight, shoulders back. We're going to cross a leg over. Doesn't matter which side. Pull up and back. First step is this. And again, if you want to stay here, that's totally cool. If cow face pose is not your jam, this would be great. Or you could actually pull in into, oh, you know what, just join me in this because this feels really good. Pull the knee, a little bit of a twist, looking up and back. These are these unscripted, unpredictable moments where I realize that I know you're all with me, but sometimes I just want to stretch for myself. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege. And let's come back to center. So you can hold this a little bit longer if that's your thing. I'm going to go into cow face, which means I'm going to lean over, pull that bottom leg back. I'm going to line my knees up as best as I can. And if we were in a group class environment, I would have at least 2 people right now say, are your bum cheeks both on the floor? And I would say, that's the goal. I'm here on this side. I don't know what'll happen on the other side. And I've got both bum cheeks on the floor. I can still breathe. My shoulders aren't in my ears. And it's tight and it's intense, but it's not horrible. It's not pain. It's just discomfort, which is different, right? And I know when my body starts to feel these sensations, I'm going to get a hit of endorphins. So I'm just kind of going 5, 6, 7, and here it comes. So breathe deeply. If you're feeling really badass, you can always really lean into this. And again, you're going to feel this getting right up into those upper hips. And that for me is an area that gets really, I don't know if often when I talk about back pain, I'm talking about hip discomfort. Because when you really kind of figure out where it is, often it is around the hips. And I'm going to come up. We're not going to do the upper body because that never goes well. That is the this zipper stretch, which we don't need to do. So let's release this. Hands come behind, lean back, and little bounce. And deep breaths. Good. And then we go to the other side. So lifting up. Let's start with that nice sage. This is called a sage twist. That makes me a sage, which is not a spice. It's like a wisdom person. Somewhere, I think. Somebody smarter than myself knows what a sage is, but anyway, although I love the smell of sage, burning it and smudging. Good, and again, if this is more your comfort level, you can hang tight here. I'm gonna go a little bit further. So I'm gonna lean over, bend that bottom leg, lining my knees up. And not as, my left side is, as I always tell you, my left side is always tighter. So I don't have, the other side I felt really balanced and really connected with the ground. This side, I'm forcing it a little bit more. So just breathing deeply. I was just thinking when I was rambling off on a tangent about sage, I had the pleasure last week of doing a training session. It was like social media and messaging and stuff like that. And it was with the Algonquins in Bancroft. They were running this program and they were so gracious and invited me to be their facilitator. And it was so cool because it was a group of all Indigenous business people. And we started, and it was all on Zoom because, you know, that's how we're doing everything now. And it was so cool because we started off with a virtual smudge, and we had a prayer from an elder, and then the elder did the smudging on Zoom. And I just thought, you know what? My life just got more awesome. Like, it was just the greatest thing. So anyway, I thought I'd share that. It was a really cool experience. I missed the beautiful smell, but the spirit and the intention was definitely there. Okay, we're almost done. This posture. Sit up nice and tall. Jam your butt into the floor. And then we're going to release. And bring your legs out for a nice little bounce. Beautiful. Straighten the legs, flex your feet, stretching up into the air. I don't do a lot of seated forward folds, but I want you to just join me now, bringing the arms down, fingertips on either side of the knees. Bring your chest forward. So your legs are pulling out from the hips. And then I just want you to come down probably to about 45 degrees. That's all you need. No more chin to shin. And extend your arms out or your fingertips. Maybe you're grabbing your toes. If not, hold your legs proudly. And as you breathe, I want you to pull up and back through the core. And notice in this posture what's happening in the low back. Notice where you're feeling that tightness and be okay with it. Just drop your head a little bit. And if you want to sink a little bit further into this, you can. And then relax the legs and maybe let the knees flop out to the sides and kind of sink in a little bit further. Rounding the back. And then we roll up. Bring the shoulders to back body. We're going to scooch around. At least I am. And we're going to drop down and we're going to do one more really nice juicy stretch. And then we're going to ease into our Shavasana. So take a moment here and just stretch out your legs for a moment. Notice what's happening in the low back. Think about maybe if you did the class on Monday, how you felt at the start of that class. And then after two separate kind of workshop-y, really targeted approach classes, notice if stuff is different. And then tighten through the core. We're going to bring the left knee up to the tummy, please, pulling it back. Shoulders roll back. We're going to do one more stretch for the piriformis. So taking the opposite hand, you are going to cross the midline of the body. Breathing a lot. And again, I tend to kind of add a little bit of motion to this, kind of going to that edge, pushing back. And if you want, you can use the other hand to actually rub into that hip, you know, maybe a knuckle into the tight spots. Give it some love. Give your butt some love. And then back to center. Let's stretch the leg up. You can hold on to it. Really deep breaths here, like so deep. Bring the knee down, and then we're going to switch to the other side. Bring that knee up, shoulders back. And usually by this point in the practice, you're like, thank God, we're almost done. And your body should feel like it's worked and that it's been stretched, but it's kind of tired. And all those beautiful, happy chemicals are flowing through you, which helps the tension leave your body, leaves you in a state of joy. So let's just cross over the midline. And again, you kind of get in with a knuckle. And then back to center. Extending the leg, flexing the foot. Such deep breaths. And let the leg come down to the floor. So I want you to move into whatever position fills you with joy for the Shavasana. If you want to put your feet up on your chair, you can do that. If you want to just collapse into the floor, if you need knees together, whatever you need, this is your practice. As you continue to rest in your pose, I want to encourage you to take some time to just reflect. So as I was saying when we started the practice tonight, this is our last class of an amazing summer session. And I say amazing just because classes have been busy for me for a summer season. And I've been able to teach in a different way, in a very targeted, focused way. And I just want you to think about, hopefully you've had an experience that has allowed for some personal growth and has allowed you to find wellness in a time that's been really stressful and really upsetting. And hopefully you felt a part of community. And more than anything else, I hope that you have felt that you're not alone. Just as you keep breathing, just really fill yourself with a sense of accomplishment. And take a moment to feel proud. Proud for showing up, even in heat waves, even in busy summer seasons. And feel good about everything that you've accomplished. And pull your knees into your tummy and give yourself a really beautiful hug, because it is that time. I'm hearing the beautiful church bells from down the street, which I've just grown to love so much. What a treat to hear that. So give yourself a hug, and then when you're feeling ready, you can move up to a seated posture. Just keep that breath flowing so deeply. Let's bring the hands together in front of the heart. And again, please, from my heart to you and your homes, please accept gratitude that you probably don't even understand. But thank you for giving me something really important to do over the past few months. And something that I never really dreamed of doing. I had no dream to be a webcam performer, but it's going okay so far. So thank you for that. And thank you for choosing to spend this really challenging time with me. That means so much, and I appreciate you all greatly. And I love you all so much. And I hope you're going to have an amazing holiday over the next few weeks. And I can't wait to practice with you again in September. And I'm very close by. you need anything, just get in touch, and I'll leave lots of recordings for you. So excellent work. Namaste.